Hello guys, welcome to the Bootcamp Advanced Python. Here we are in day 4. Today we are going to discuss about the inheritance, the topic inheritance. This is actually very important. One of the major feature of the object-oriented programming language is inheritance. So let's see what is inheritance. Let's deeply understand what we do with inheritance, what is the use of inheritance, and what are the benefits with the help of inheritance. So now let's go. Okay, so here we come with the slide inheritance definition. Here you can see that inheritance is the capability of one class to derive or inherit the properties from another class. Okay, I'll explain you clearly. See, now, now inheritance is actually nothing but acquiring the properties from somewhere. Like you have acquired the properties from your parents. That's what, right? Your characteristics from your parents. That is called the actual inheritance with the English definition. So here the inheritance when it comes to the object-oriented programming deals here with when the properties of one class are being shown in another class also, then there is this property in between known as inheritance. So this is what inheritance means. Like generally a class contains methods, members, right? Data members. If the data members of this class also to be present in the other class, then that class is said to be base class of the previous class, root class. So it this actually also means that the data is being inherited from the base class to this class, the new class which we have gone. Like we have told that the data members are same, right? So this actually means what is inheritance. So now let's see what is the importance of inheritance actually. Like it represents the real world relationships well. Yeah, I told you, right? Like the characteristics of your parents and yours and their parents and themselves, like that the characteristics actually are inherited from every base class to its child class. So it also represents the real world relationships. You got it, right? Now it provides the reusability of code. What is reusability of code? See, now already you have some of the methods and data members inside the class, and you are inheriting them to other class because you no need to write the code again. If you just use this inheritance concept, you can directly acquire those properties. If you acquire those properties, no need to write again, right? Just using this inheritance, the code will be the number of lines of code will be less. Will reduce the number of lines of code. So the reusability of code is the best one of the importance of inheritance. See, now here is an another importance of inheritance, which is it is transitive in nature, which means that class B inheritance from another class A. Okay. Now see. Now this actually means what? I'll show. I'll tell you with the real world relationship. You will really understand it very quickly. Now your parents' characteristics are acquired by you, and your children characters are acquired by you. Now this also means that your children characteristics will also be present with the your parents' characteristics. This is actually what transitive mean. You got it right? If class B inherits from class A, that means B is the child class of A and it inherits the properties of A, then subclass of B, which means the child class of B would automatically inherit from class A, which means that the child class of B will have the properties of class A as well. This is called transitive in nature. So, with inheritance, the transitive in nature is one of the major benefits as well. Now let's move to next slide. Okay. In Python, there are some types of inheritance we have to look into. So let's see what are the type of inheritance available in Python for us. So there are four types of inheritance available in Python for us, which is single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multi-path inheritance. So let's look at each and every inheritance deeply now and explain. I'll explain what is single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multi-path inheritance, etc. Now let's go into the next slide. So what is single inheritance? By name itself, you can think that single inheritance enables a derived class to inhabit the properties from a single parent class, thus enabling code reusability and addition of new features existing to code. Okay, this definition is not that, actually it's a bit complex, right? I'll clearly explain you what is single inheritance. See, here you can see the diagram. This diagram represents the single inheritance. So with this diagram, we can easily understand. Now, the properties of A are being inherited to B. This is only done on only single path, right? Only single parent class. It's coming from only single parent class. The class B is having only a single parent, that is A. This actually means the single inheritance. So what is the syntax for single inheritance? Is just the parent class. You will define as usual. You know, right? The class keyword, parent name, and inside the statements, whatever. Then the class child, you write the child class, and to inherit properties, we have to just use this bracket inside that class name. What class you want to acquire the, I mean, inherit the class. So you have to write the class name. So we want to inherit the characteristics of parent. Thus, we are writing bracket parents and colon, and again child class separate data member statements, etc. will be available for that. Yeah, this is what single inheritance means. You got it right. Just there will be a single parent and all the properties will be acquired from that parent. This is what single inheritance means. Okay, now let's go to the next type of inheritance. What is next type of inheritance? Multiple inheritance. Like, now let's read the definition of what is multiple inheritance. When a class can be derived from more than one base class, this type of inheritance is called as multiple inheritance. See, one second. What are they saying? When a class can be derived from more than one base class, this type of inheritance is called as multiple inheritance. See, now here with the example, I'll show this. See, now C is being derived from both A and B. This child class is having more than one base class. That means more than one parent class. The C is acquiring properties of A class as well, and C is also acquiring the properties of B class as well. This is what multiple inheritance says. So, in multiple inheritance, all the base characters are, I mean, whatever base class data is there, it is inherited into derived classes. See, like whatever data A contains will also be available in C. Whatever data B contains, this also will be available on C. So this is what multiple inheritance means. So let's see here. Class A. What is the syntax for multiple inheritance? Class A. We have derived the class A. Now the statements, like I told you, actually here we'll have statements, just we are using past state because we want to show the syntax of every inheritance. So pass, then class B. Class B also we have done. So two different classes, and now we are inheriting the class C from A and B. So syntax for that would be class keyword, then class name, and what all the you want to inherit, like A and B. Here colon, yeah, colon, and inside this, and as usual object object defining and calling the methods using object and dot operator. So this is what multiple inheritance means actually. Now we are done with multiple inheritance as well. Now let's look at multi-level inheritance. What is multi-level inheritance? In multi-level inheritance, we have one parent class and one child class that is derived or inherited from the parent class. Okay. Now let's see example. Hope A is your father, B is you, and C is your child. See now, A, you are acquiring the properties. B is acquiring properties from A. C is acquiring the properties from B. So this is actually multi-level. More than one levels we'll have. I mean, we'll have base class, intermediary class, and derived class. This derived class will contain both the characteristics of A and B at the same time. Just like this. You, your children, your grandchildren. This is, you can understand much better in that way. Yeah, you got it right. What is multi-level inheritance? There will be a base class from where we'll be deriving one child class from that, and from that child class we are deriving another child class which contains both the properties of A and B. You got it right. What is multi-level inheritance? Now let's see the syntax for what is multi-level inheritance. So as usual, you have to define a class inside that statements. Then class B is containing the properties of A. Right here you can see uh, A is the base class and B is child class. So class B, and it is being inherited from A. So brackets A and this colon. Now these are the statements inside the class B. Now we are going to class C, which is inherited from B. Now you know now class C inherited from B. You no need to write B comma A here actually, because automatically when you are inheriting the properties from B, A also will be coming. That is what the transitive in nature we have discussed, right? So this is what transitive in nature. So no need to write B comma A here. If you write B, automatically A also will be coming. Then past statements as usual, object creation, so on, etc. This you know. What is this? Now let's see one more type of inheritance. Multipath inheritance. Okay. This let's discuss about multipath inheritance. What is multipath inheritance actually? When a class is derived from two or more classes which are derived from the same base class. Okay, this is the actual definition. Let's read again. When a class is derived from two or more class from the same base class. Okay, I'll clearly explain you. This is actually a bit complicated in this. So let's see this example. Now A is the base class for B and C. It's being B and C classes are derived from A. Now the normal A is the parent class. It has B and C as its child classes. Then from B and C we are deriving one more class D which contains the properties of B and C. You got it right. This is what multipath inheritance means. So we are done with the types of inheritance. What are types of inheritance? Let's look at the code part of each inheritance now. I have some of the examples for you to solve. We'll solve these programs and clear the concept of inheritance easily. Okay. As we have seen the several types of inheritance, and now let's see the coding part of the inheritance with some of the record programs available with us. Now let's do the first question. Okay, as usual, let's open our Google Colab. Opening Google Colab and open a new notebook. Naming it to be day 4. Okay, let's start this question. So I'm copying the question here. So first let me comment. Let me comment whole thing. Okay. So what they're asking, define a class student with data numbers as roll number and name. Derive a class fees from the student that has data member fees function and submit fees and generate receipt. Derive another class result that displays the marks. Okay. I got the question. So let's start solving it. Okay. As usual, first we have to create the class student. So I've created a class student. And we have to use the constructor, right? They has asked us to take the data members as roll number and name. Now I'll take the data members of the fees, the derived class as well in the student class, and I'll derive the fees from student. This will make my things very easy, right? It will complete fast. So now I'll take the self is obviously the first argument every time. 1 second. Self is obviously the first argument. Then we have to take roll number. Then we have to take name, and also I'm taking the derived class fees data members also in student, and then I'm deriving the class fees. So now I'll take data members derive a class fee from the student that has data member fee and functions to submit fees. Okay. Okay, now we have to even make the fees. That's it. These are the data members which we require now. Okay. Let's also take marks because they are asking derive another class result from the students and the grade obtained by the student. We have to display that, right? Generate thing. Okay, now let's take marks and grade as well of the student. Okay, we have created this. Now, as usual, self dot roll number. We have to declare this roll numbers, right? Everything. I mean, the data members we have to declare in this way. Self dot roll number, self dot name equal to name, self dot fees is equal to fees, self dot marks is equal to marks, then self dot grade is equal to the grade. Now let's go to the second class, the derived class from student. That is, we have to derive a class fees from the student that displays the receipt. Okay, class fees, and to write this class, we have to use that this, right? You got it, right? Like the derived class will have the parent class in the brackets in the calling name only. Now here we can simply write the method of generating receipt. Receipt gen. So I'm giving the function name to be receipt gen. So no need to pass any arguments. Self dot thing on a column here. Now let's return. Let's just print that fees to be paid. The receipt we have to fees to be paid, comma self dot fees. So we are done with generating receipt as well. Now let's go to the next statement in the question. So derive a class fees from the student that has data member fees. Okay. Now fees has the data member fee, right? Because we are inheriting from student. Student has fee anyway, so fee will also have student. So no worries. Now function to submit fees and generate receipt. Okay, we have written a function and we have also generated the fees to be paid. Then derive another class result from student that displays the marks and grade obtained by student. Okay, okay. Now we have to create one more class. We have to create one more class with name as result, and it should be derived from student, right? We are deriving from student. Now we have to give a column. Then here also we are displaying result. So I'm writing the function name to be result. Then we have to pass the argument to be self. That's it. No other arguments. Now print marks obtained by students, the quotation marks actually, marks obtained by student. So it will be self dot marks, right? Yeah. Then print one second. Marks, grade obtained by student, which is self dot grade. We have done with this. Now let's go to the object creation method. Mm, for object creation, so first we'll do with we have to create the object, right? So first we have to give the inputs. These input to be given, right? Roll number, user input. Let's take the user input. So roll number is int of, sorry, input we have to take, right? So int of input of, enter the roll number. Now name also we have to take. Name is just a string variable, right? Just we can write of input of, because Python generally accepts string variables directly. So enter the name. Done. Now let's take input as fees. The fees we are taking is float, because we may have decimals inside the fees. So float of input of, enter the fees. So next we have to take input as grade and marks. So marks is int of input of, enter the marks. We have taken the input of marks as well. Now let's take grade. Grade will be given in generally A, B, C, D. So it's a string. We can directly take input as input of, enter the grade. Now let's our job is done with creating the variables, I mean the data members. Now we have to create the objects. So we are going to the functions with both methods fees and result, right? So we have to create an object for the class result and fees. So let the object one be with the fee, the class fees. So fees of, now since the fees is derived from student, the every parameter should be given in every object we take. That means when we are creating object for fees, we have to give the data members of even this we have to give the data members of main class, I mean the base class as well. So the object one will be fees of roll number, name, fees, marks, and object two will be, we'll be dealing with the second method with result, right? So object two is result. Same again, we have to pass. Now using dot operator with object, we have to access the method in this classes. So object one dot, what's that name? We are creating receipt gen. So first is receipt gen, right? So no argument to be passed, only self is there, so no need to pass any argument. Then next we are printing the second one is object two. We are using dot operator and we are passing through result method. So we are done with the both methods. Now let's see for the result. Okay, roll number is let's take it to be 32. Roll number, name is Pawan. Oh, okay. Actually, it should be input of, right? This small silly mistakes. Roll number 32. Pawan. Fees is let's take 1,50,000. Marks he got is 88 out of 100. Grade is A. So the fees to be paid is 1,50,000. The marks obtained by the student is 88. The grade obtained by student is A grade. Don't worry with the nuns. I told you right. If you are not using written, we'll be obtaining none. So we have got the result we wanted. Like they asked in the question, right? To derive from student, we are deriving the fees and result and obtaining the tasks we want to do. So you got right. This is the first question. You guys are clear with first question. I think so. Now let's go to the next question. Yes, guys, we have completed the program of the student and result. Now let's see one more program to understand the concept in much better way. Okay, let's move. What do you want to take? Six we have. Let's take anything from this. Uh, let's take this. Write a program with the tests class distance with numbers. Okay, you write class and office which store the distance from your school along with other do types. Okay, let's do this. So I've taken the question. I'm commenting it. Done. Let's do this question now. Okay, boys. Let's do the code part. Yeah. Before we start, so let's read the question in a detailed manner. Write a program that has a class distance with numbers, kilometers and meters. Okay. And derive classes school and office in which we store the distance from your house to school and office along with the other details. Okay. Nothing. It's very easy. See, you have to store the school and office distances in meters and kilometers in the class distance, and then you have to derive the classes school and office, and they have to store their respective distances. So that's it. Okay, so let's create the class. For creating a class, just class is the keyword. Then you have to give the name of the class. Here they gave us to take the class name to be distance. Okay, and a colon. Now we have to create the data member site. For that we are using a constructor statement in it, so that we can easily do this. And the members here will be office in meters. I'm taking OM to be the variable, that is distance of office in meters. Distance of office in kilometers would be OKM, and distance in meters. Now we have to check for the school. So school kilometers and school meters. These are the data members for the class distance, and as usual we have to define them with self, right? Oh, I forgot, actually self is the parameter every time we have to create keep when we are creating a method inside the class, so don't forget that. Okay, then self.om would be om. Self.okm would be, one second, self.okm will be okm. Self.skm would be skm. Self.sm would be sm. So we have declared all the variables here of the class distance. Now let's go to the next statement, which states that derive the classes school and office which store the distance from your house. Now let's create the class of school. So school, which is being derived from the distance, right? That's why we have to keep inside the brackets. So we have kept the distance in brackets. Now call it. So this actually means the derived class of distance. So here we are storing the details of the distance of school. In school class, we will be storing the distance of school. So let's write the method of viewing, displaying the school distance. Disp school is the method I am using, and self must be parameter every time we use, right? Inside the classes, for a method, self must be a parameter every time. So inside this, we are displaying the school information. So let's ask to print school distance in meters. So what would be school distance in meters? We have given SM, right? SM means actually the distance of school in meters. So we have to print that self dot SM. Okay. Now we have to print even uh, school distance in kilometers. So for this, it would be self dot SKM, school distance in kilometers. You got it right? So we are done with the creating of variables, that is in the distance class, and we have derived the school from distance, and we have even stored the distances of school in kilometers and meters. Now let's see for the third class, which is office. Office, which is again a derived class of distance. So distance. So I've derived that, and now we have to even create a method for office as well. Just like school we have created, we have to create here as well. So nothing but def disp office. So disp office self will be the parameter every time we use. Now we have to print the distance of office from school from in kilometers and meters. So office distance in meters. Meters is self dot OM. You got right? Now let's print even the oh, already said what its office. Now we have to print the office distance in kilometers. So it is actually self dot SKM. So we have defined it to be SKM, right? So it will be sorry OKM, not SKM. It is OKM. Yeah, OKM. We have office distance in kilometers is declared as OKM. Nice. We have completed the part. Now let's take the user inputs of OM, OKM, OSM, SKM, and SM. Okay, OM is it's a number, right? So we can take float actually because kilometers and meters can be in points as well. So float input, enter the office distance in meter. We have completed with OM. Now OKM, which means this also would be in float actually. So float of input, enter the office distance in kilometer. Now let's take the values of school as well. So now SM would be caplem. We have declared their SM to be caplem, right? That's what. Float input of enter, one second, shortcut I pressed some wrong key. Enter the school distance in meters. So we are done with SM as well. Now SKM. Enter the school distance. Okay. Okay. Now we are done with the declaration of variables. Now we have to use the objects to goes inside the methods of the classes, right? For here we'll be creating objects little differently. Just like you have seen the previous example, right? To access this, to access this method, we have to go to this class and access. And the parameters of this class would be complete parameters of the main class, base class. Like the school parameters to be entered are completely OM, OKM, SKM, everything. See, in the previous example also we have done same thing. For the fees one, we have taken all the inputs of roll number, name, fees, marks, and grade actually. But here we have used only self dot fees in the fees. But then also we have to take all the inputs from the main class or base class. So here also same way we have to take the complete arguments of base class. Now, which means we have to take, let's create an object first, object 1, which is equal to, what is the class name we have taken here? School, school of everything, OM, OKM, SM, SKM. You got right? This is object 1. Object 2 is, we are taking this complete office one. For office also will be same with OM. Just let's copy this. This we have to copy because the object office also is the child class of distance class, right? Whatever the variables inside the distance class while creating object would be same here as well. So we have created the object. If you have created the object, you know what to do. Just using the dot operator, we have to go to the method we want to use and call it. So object 1 dot disk school, right? Disk school, and we don't need to pass any arguments, so nothing. Now print object 2 dot, actually school 1 is object 1, right? Yeah, object 2 with office 1 is disk office, object 2 dot disk office. Yeah, and no arguments required, so we are calling the functions with using the dot operator to access the methods inside the class. Okay, now let's see. Okay, the office distance in meter, I am taking office distance to be 1500 meters. In kilometer it would be 1.5 kilometers. My school distance is 3800 meters, and it's 3.8 in kilometers. You have to enter the way we want it. See, yeah, the school we have got the output required. The school distance to be 3.8 and 3800 in kilometers. One second, I think there was some mistake. SM. Okay. I have given wrong inputs actually. Yeah. I got it. Yeah. No worries. I have given wrong inputs. SKM I gave reverse actually. No worries. We can change that as well. Here 1.5 kilometers, 1500. We got how we wanted. I gave here the inputs wrong. That's the issue actually. No need to worry. Yeah, we are done with the program. They asked us to write and store the values, so we have stored and even printed it. So let's go to the next program. Let's do one last program for this on this topic, and let's go with what do you want to do? Let's do anything. Let's do this one. You guys say let's do this one. Okay, let's do this third question. As we thought of doing this program, now let's start doing this program. So as usual, they have told let's read the question. Write a program that has a class train with data members as number of seats first, number of seats second tier, number of seats third tier, and member functions to set the display data. Okay. And derive a class reservation that has data members, seats booked 1, seats booked 2, seats booked 3, and functions to book and cancel tickets and display status. Okay. Okay, let's do this. It's easy actually. Now, first of all, we have to create a class train, right? So I've created a class train. So constructor statement as usual. Def init is the constructor statement we use. And what are the data members we are taking? Actually, with the number of first tier seats, number of second tier seats, number of third tier seats, and in the reservation class we have seats booked, seats. I mean the seats booked of first tier, second tier, and third tier. So first, as usual, self tier one. I'm giving it as tier one, tier two, tier three as unbook. I mean the number of seats available in tier one, tier two, tier three. And next we have to choose the data member seats booked. So I'm taking B tier one, B tier two, and B tier three. These are actually tier one, tier two, tier three seats booked. Okay, now we have created the class. And as usual, we have to declare the variables, right? Self dot tier one would be equal to tier one. Self dot tier two would be tier two. Self dot tier three would be tier three. Self dot B tier one, which means actually booked. B tier one would be the B tier one. Then self dot B tier two would be tier two. Self dot B tier three would be B tier three. Okay, we have done of in declaring the variables. Now let's go for the class, which is the child class of this. Now we have to, okay, actually we have to even display the data, right? So for displaying the data, we have to create a function again. So def disp, I'm giving it as disp self. I'm taking only self parameter. Every method will have self parameter inside the class. I've told this already. Now we have to print each and every data given for us. So tier one number of tier one seats would be just self dot tier one, right? That's what I'm doing here. I'm using the print statements to print every data available for us. So I'll copy this actually. This will actually make my work easier. So now it's tier two, which is actually self dot tier two. Print number of paste number of tier three seats would be self dot tier 3. Now we have to also print the number of booked. So number of booked tier 1 seats. So actually self dot b tier 1. Now if we print number of booked tier 2 seats would be self dot b tier 2. Now printing number of, let me copy this one, it's actually easier. Book tier 3 seats, right? It will be actually self dot tier 3. Not tier 3, B tier 3, because we are talking about booked. So we are done with the displaying information of the seats. Now we have to create another class reservation. Which is the base, child class of the base class train. So train, as usual, we have declared the child class with syntax. This should contain the function to book and cancel tickets. Okay. Now I'm writing simple if well if else ladder to the reservation function actually. So first of all, let's create a reservation function. T reserve. I keep T reserve as the function name because train reservation. Here only self would be the parameter which I would be using. So I'll use simple if else ladder, if else ladder to complete this. So if, let's take another variable actually, T status. T status actually, which means the ticket status is actually helping us. Self dot T status would be T status. The reason I took the extra variable, I'll tell you now. To here check this, the T status. If the T status is all, if the T status, if it's already like booked, we'll be printing that message like yes, ticket reservation is done. Else, which means if T status is not booked, actually it want to be cancelled, then we would be printing the statement that the ticket is cancelled. We are done with ticket reservation and ticket cancellation as well. Else, we'll return, let's return else ticket not booked. Okay, it's return. Caps lock is on, right? Remember, print all the letters should be small. Okay, now we are done with the program. Like they asked us to display the data of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 seats as well, and the seats which are booked. So at the same time, they also told us to design another class which is the base, which is the child class of train, and it should have the function of reservation function inside the class. So now let's take the inputs. So for taking inputs, you have to take user from user, right? So we have to use the one. So tier one would be int of input, enter number of tier one seats. So let's copy this and paste every time and change accordingly. Yeah, now same. So here it will be tier 2, it will be tier 2. Now let's take the B tier. So we can actually do that again. Here B tier 1, B tier 2, B tier 3, and here number of tier 1 seats booked, number of tier 2 seats booked. Accordingly, we are changing the things. You got it right. Now it will be the tier 3 seats booked. Yeah. Now we have taken even the inputs, and also we have to take the ticket status as the one of the input. So the variable is T status, which is input of enter ticket status. Now let's create the object and perform the tasks. Yeah. Now object 1 is train of all the variables inside. So it will be tier 1, tier 2, T status, everything will be passed. So we have to do it. And object 2 for the second class reservation. It's not like this. And the arguments are same again. Because reservation is the class which is being derived from train, right? So the arguments will be same, just like the previous example we have taken. The arguments will be same. Now we have to use the dot operator for calling the methods. So print object 1 dot disp off. No parameters, right? That's why we can leave it like this. Second one would be print object 2 dot t reserve is the function, right? T reserve off. Yeah, we got it. Now let's run this code. Let's hope no error comes. Let's check this out. Yeah, tier 1 seats, there are 150 tier 1 seats, 200 tier 2 seats, 250 tier 3, and tier 1 booked are 145, tier 2 are 175, and 220 are tier 3. Let's take that as example. Ticket status is we have already booked the ticket. So let's see. Oh, there is some error coming here. Object 1, what's the error? Name error. Oh, Is there any tier 3 is okay. Actually, yeah, we have forgot to here change this. Silly mistakes. Okay. Enter number of tier 1. So, as usual, let's take 150, 200, 250. Tier 1 booked are 145, 175, 220. Ticket status is booked. Yeah, we got right. The output is number of tier 1 seats available, number of tier 2, number of tier 3, and then what? How many are booked? Then this none is because we are not using return. If we use it will not come, so not an issue. So ticket reservation is done because we have already told the ticket is booked. So we are getting the status to be ticket reservation is done. So you guys got it right. So these are some of the examples I want to discuss with you. We are done with the 3 programs regarding the student and fees and their result program using inheritance. These all are very easy programs and you can easily understand them as well. Next, we have done a program on school distance and office distance, and we have used the inheritance in this as well to clear the variables, everything, and we printed the output we required. And also the third one is the train reservation and tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 example. And this is also one of the easier one. And you, I guess you all guys got what is the logic behind this. Now that's it for today, guys. We have completed the day 4 of the Advanced Python Bootcamp. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Thank you for the response. And don't forget to like, share, comment. At the same time, any doubts you can post in the chat box. I'll always be available to help you guys. And any issue also you can post. Our team is active every time. They'll give you immediate responses. And for the attendance link, you can check in the description also. You will be getting that attendance link. Don't forget to fill the attendance form. So that's it, guys. Let's meet tomorrow. Thank you.